Tom Bower, Revenge. Chapter 25.3 Duchess demanding. Here we go again. More reading, more understanding, more knowledge and more insight. Once again, Harry's wife was embarrassed by her failure to prevent Thomas broadcasting his wrath across the globe threat to control damage to facade. She was also distressed by Frogmore reconstruction. Despite spending £2.65 million to rebuild a 5-bedroom house for me, she was dissatisfied. Well, of course, it wasn't going at the pace that she wanted it, and probably there wasn't enough industrial beige paint being used. Dealing with the architects, designer buildings and even the curators from Buckingham Palace responsible for the Queen's paintings had not produced the results. She expected friends and other clients heard from the contractors about Harry's wife's manner. Her constantly changing demands. This is the inconsistency of her behaviors as a consequence of her black and white thinking. Her constantly changing demand, said one contractor, seemed to be born from her assumption that the Duchess was expected to behave like Mary Antoinette. Inevitably, their stories reached the media. Some were exaggerated. Others were untrue. But the mention that the nursery will be painted with the Aura range from the Organic and Natural Paint Company exposed Harry's wife to ridicule in the tabloids. As the house neared completion, the contractors gained the impression that Harry's wife was unhappy. The new building, she appeared to suggest, was good enough for the staff. But where was the Duchess's palace grandiosity? She's been given a 5-bedroom property refurbished at a cost of £2.65 million and still she complains. Frogmore's kitchen was small. Oh dear. Would you struggle to trombone Prince Harry there? What a shame the living room was cramped. Would you not be able to kick him in the pink positive effectively there? And there was no view of the ocean. There wouldn't fucking be a view of the ocean. Stupid mayor on top of that. Life under the flight path to Heathrow was horrendous. I think you might have been told about that before you moved there. Her dissatisfaction came to a head when she unfavorably compared Frogmore, not only to the £4.5 million William and Kate had spent renovating their Kensington Palace apartment, but to the Californian mansions inhabited by Hollywood celebrities. This just shows the fact that she goes around with her nose in the air with no due regard for the way that it makes her look, the way that she has access to life of wealth and privilege. Far beyond that which most people would ever experience. And yet it's never enough. The combination of the horrors of Frogmore, I dare say many of you listening saying suck it. I'd have gone and lived there. No problem at all. Plane occasionally flies over balls to that, get some ear defenders on, or even better listen to H.G. Tutor's videos that will drown out the noise. The combination of the horrors of Frogmore and the Queen's refusal to allow Harry's wife and Harry an independent court confirmed to Harry's wife that no one appreciated her. Nobody asked nobody else. Okay, she was also began to understand that the British monarchy costing the public just £85 million a year was neither flush with money nor an invincible luxury. Rolls-Royce machine. The power and influence which she assumed to have acquired from her marriage to Harry was an illusion. Oh dear. Harry's paranoia added to her sense of vulnerability, gripped by fear of a random attack. They were both appalled by the prospect that members of the public, the great unwashed, could walk through Windsor Great Park a short distance from their house media photographers. They realized could reach their privacy because of the absence of a much-needed ring of steel to satisfy Harry's demand for protection. The public were ordered not to approach Harry's wife or her dogs in Windsor Park. The announcement did not win the Sussexes' popular approval once more. Harry's wife and Harry blame Connor, and his deputy Christian Jones blame shifting. They had failed to halt the stream of negative media reports. It's a little bit like trying to hold back the tide, to be honest, replied that his staff were constantly working daily. They deleted abusive messages on social media websites posted by frenzied online trolls. Some supported Kate against Harry's wife. The worst messages they suspected were generated by an orchestrated campaign in Russia. Oh, what, not a middle-aged Welsh woman in the valleys. Harry and Harry's wife were not convinced, seizing on the criminal convictions of one student for calling Harry a race traitor on social media. Both accused tabloid newspapers of arousing racism. From the beginning of our relationship, Harry's wife later complained, pity play. They were so attacking and inciting so much racism, really delusion. Hypersensitive to even reasoned criticism. Of course she is a narcissist. They believed that was ordered by Buckingham Palace not to respond to a monster machine around us. In terms of clickbait and tabloid fodder, paranoia because officials feared annoying the media. Well, they'd already achieved that. Buckingham Palace said Harry was scared of the tabloids turning on them yet again. Harry's wife pleaded that she was undefended by the institution, notwithstanding, of course, all of the lengthy induction period that she had, the team of 14 that had been put in place to help her, all of the staff that she had around her. She can't see that it's her own behavior that is attracting all of this criticism. Yet again, Harry's wife pleaded that she was undefended by the institution and prohibited from defending herself against false stories. Neither recalled Harry's wife's answer during her BBC engagement interview, that she ignored the media. I made the choice not to read anything positive or negative, lie. She had told the world. Both knew that was not true. She couldn't resist reading the media for over 30 years. She had longed for fame, but now she was experienced the consequences of what she called death by 1,000 cuts. Patrick Jeffson, Diana's private secretary, partly endorsed the couple's grievance. He blamed the palace's deep-rooted complacency, conceit and confusion for not responding to Harry's wife's complaints. It has a fatal capacity for moral inertia. When one of the big names is in trouble, he would write, just as Diana was cast adrift, continued, Jefferson and Prince Andrew was not saved by the palace elite. How his wife was let down by the palace media staff. Jefferson described the palace's old-fashioned attitude towards relations with the media and its belief that the monarchy would survive regardless. And his superiors were unwilling to shape a strong narrative to suit Harry's wife. Jefferson's opinion was partly contradicted by efforts to help Omid Scobie and by Connor's willingness to deny it. There's a shitstorm going on of that. There is no doubt. And the demand and Duchess demanding, of course, under attack with these repeated threats to control. Can do only one thing: complain, blame other people, dole out the pity praise as she attempts to scramble to get that control back. Undoubtedly there was criticism. Some of it unmerited. A lot of it entirely merited. And the problem is, as always, that the demanding Duchess can't see that it's mainly generated by her own behaviors, even where the criticism might be unjustified. It has its kernel in her behavior, but she's completely blinded to that. We now move on to the final section of this particular chapter. Join me there. Of this particular chapter.